Good evening, everybody. Thank you. I'm not used to getting a response there. It's a pleasure being in here in Liverpool. I'm sure there's a lot of football fans in tonight. Anybody? I'm looking forward to the World Cup. Starts on Thursday. Brilliant. What I love about the World Cup. All the world's greatest players in one place, and Ashley Young. Honestly, I love to take a small team with no hope of winning and follow them all the way through as far as it goes. So, for the 8th time, come on, England. You may find this a surprise to look at me, but I'm in my mid-30s. My beard is a lifestyle choice. My lifestyle is I'm a lazy bastard. But I'm starting to worry about my health. So, I've been starting to gently upholster myself. My preferred euphemism for my belly. And I worry about this thing called sleep apnea, where you stop breathing in your sleep. Now, for me, there's something a little unnatural about that. If that's going to happen to me, I want it to be as nature intends, with my wife holding a pillow over my face. But, it's not just that. Sometimes I wake up with my arms gone numb, and naturally the first thing I do is I panic and I go on the internet and try and find out what the hell's wrong with me. So, I type in the symptoms, numb arm, pins and needles, stuff like that. One point it suggested I was having a stroke. I said to it, "Don't kid yourself, your material's not that erotic." Honestly, sometimes I spend myself doing this to kind of wake it back up again. I guess it probably looks like I'm pleasuring an invisible sooty puppet. I think potentially part of my problem is that I am chronically tired. I've got a couple of kids. The oldest is 7, which means I haven't slept in approximately 7 years. And it's not just the sleep as well. I mean, in the immediate aftermath of having a small child, the romance, it's fair to say, disappears slightly from the relationship. I liken it very much to being like, the whole process is a bit like going to the doctors. You have to book your appointment 8 weeks in advance. It's not going to be at a time that suits you. Subject to cancellation. The small talk feels a bit clinical and forced. It's not just that. They've seen it all before. They want you in and out in 5 minutes. It's not a problem for me. And that thing you saw on the internet, it's not that. But no, it's sometimes there are toys involved, but only if one of the kids has left a Hot Wheels car in the bed. Gotta love them. But yeah, it's a weird thing being a parent, because I don't know, but has anyone else in here got kids? Yeah. Do you find kids' TV really unrealistic? Sometimes. Paw Patrol, bang on, isn't it? Honestly, I put my dog behind the wheel of the car. He didn't save anybody. Although, in fairness to him, one thing I can credit the dog with, he spent more time in the year we've had him trying to remove my trousers than my wife has in 10 years. But the one that really gets me is Postman Pat. Postman Pat, right, when I was growing up, he had a little van. I could cope with that. These days, Postman Pat has a fucking helicopter. And such is the hubris of the man that it's not just an off-the-shelf helicopter either. He's had a special thing built in for the cat. I mean, that's not going to come cheap. It's no wonder the poor old mailmen are on strike. Their pension pots are being plundered to satisfy the delusions of grandeur of a rural mailman. Oh, man. I take solace with the fact I've taken a deep dislike to Postman Pat now that he's gone with his helicopter. I take solace from the fact that probably the inevitable conclusion for Postman Pat is a hail of bullets the day his job gets outsourced to a robot. He's going to walk calmly to the back of the van, pull out a 12-bore shotgun, and he's going to go postal on Greendale. Bang! Where's your God now, Reverend Timms? Bang! That's for stocking the sun, Mrs. Goggins. Fuck you, Jess. Sorry. No animals were harmed in the making of this skit. I tell you what, it's going to take more than Paul Gascoigne and a bucket of chicken to fix that. Yeah, but, you know, one of the things I love about being a father is you get to read stories with your kids. However, on the 7th or 8th telling in 8 days, it kind of gets a bit boring. So what I like to do is to make it a little bit more interesting for them. I like to do it in a few different voices. So one of their favourites is when I read them The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Now I'm going to read it to you. I say read it, I know off by heart. I've read it that many fucking times. But I'm going to read it to you in the voice that I read it to them. In the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf. One warm Sunday morning, the sun came up, and out popped a very small and very hungry caterpillar. He started to look for some food. On Monday, he ate through one orange, but he was still hungry. On Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears, but he was still hungry. And on it goes until they're either asleep or pretending to be asleep, and that's good enough for me. But, you know, I think it's fair to say they probably haven't been sleeping all that well recently, for some reason. But, you know, it's not all just me being mean to them. My 7-year-old was the worst for it when he was... Well, when we took him on our first holiday abroad, we took him to Spain, and in the lift, he very loudly said to me, about the slightly larger woman standing next to us, "Has that woman eaten too much cake?" I honestly, to this day, still don't know what the safe answer to that question is. You know, no should have been, but she probably had. And then, of course, there was the time he ran away from me in Tesco, shouting, "Help, help," like he'd seen Gary Glitter in the dairy aisle. Imagine this, a man with a beard and a slightly dirty raincoat chasing after a child down past the Coke. It's not going to go well. But, you know, what I think I'll do here is, you know, before I outstay my welcome, I'm going to leave you with a story. One of my favourite stories is about my kids, and perhaps a little bit about the dangers of technology and children. When he was 3 years old, my oldest discovered the iPad, and at the same time he discovered the iPad, he discovered Siri. Now, at the same time, he was massively into the film Toy Story, absolutely loved it. His first question to Siri, and I kid you not, was, "Siri, show me a picture of a Woody." Well, I swear to God I've not moved across a room so fast in my life. Everything slowed down like I was in the Matrix. No! Wrestled it out of the little scamp's hands. You can imagine my relief when all I could see staring back at me from the screen was a smiling cowboy. I just wish he'd kept his trousers on. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been great. Thank you.